Hi, I'm Naz. I'm making this video to show you how I use Prismacolors with Proto-Pasta. So, first of all, what are Prismacolors? Prismacolors are they're art tools that are pretty popular. So there's markers, there's pencils, there's pastels, um, there's paints. Particularly in this video, I'm referencing to the markers and the pencils. So basically these is what I'm talking about. It's so basically the Prismacolor markers are a special marker that you can blend onto any kind of porous material, such as Proto-Pasta that I have come to find out. And the pencils are basically it's a colored pencil. They are special though because it's a soft core wax and the pigment is actually pretty strong. So, and they lay down on really anything that's porous as long as it doesn't have like a gloss on it. So in terms of 3D prints, Proto-Pasta is this kind of the one in particular that I'm talking about is Matte Fiber Proto-Pasta. So if you're not familiar with 3D printing, or if you are, it's Proto-Pasta. It's made in Vancouver, Washington. It's a really great material, especially for if you want to make a three-dimensional canvas to draw on or paint on. It really sucks up the pigment and the color really well. Of course, you would want to seal it afterwards. So this is the 3D printing material, which is basically like a rope, and you stick it into a 3D printer. So a 3D printer is basically this thing here, and it goes around and around, layer by layer, building up your object, which is from a 3D model that you would create. So if you don't know anything about 3D printing, I definitely suggest checking it out because it's very cool. I know it's not for everybody, so you might just want to get prints that you can paint. So all of these, in our store, we have this material available for all the products that we sell, in case for some reason you wanted to buy a dragon egg or a deck box and then color it yourself and make it into your own masterpiece. So that is 3D printing, just so you know what it looks like. So in particular, what I did as my first test, and all these prints I'm showing you are rejects, basically. So they're things that have been sitting on my shelf for a very long time. Except for this one, I did this one recently. So this is more of the quality that you could expect to get from us. So just so that's clear. And this thing in particular, which is a horntail dragon egg that you can find in our store, which I'll show you how I did this here. The egg, I first did it with the markers on the bottom. So basically the markers, since you can blend them, you can kind of lay down your first color and then slowly work from there. For the pencils, I did that on the top. So as you can see, like the pigment, it kind of lays down like as a layer instead of soaking in because it's a wax. And you can do the same thing, you can blend it. So that's what that looks like. And then the thing that I found out that was really cool, that I got really excited about, was that I can do it on black. So you can get the matte fiber black and do the same thing, like use the pencils. You can't use the markers though, because they don't really have anything to show up on. But the black though, I think that's really cool. Yeah, which definitely made me happy about that. So of course, the thing that you're probably wondering is, why am I making you a video to show you drawing onto matte fiber prints with markers and pencils when you could just airbrush like everybody else? Well, I do that too. I airbrush on eggs sometimes, and I have to say it's nice, but because it's a three-dimensional object and I kind of like to keep going when I make my own stuff, the whole wet paint thing kind of kills it for me. Whereas when I'm working on something like this, I can just keep going. Like, I don't have to worry about, you know, getting ink on my fingers or smearing the paint or any of that stuff. I just literally keep going, which is a pretty big plus for me. And there are some software programs where you can just print your print in multiple colors, but it's either really expensive, like way out of my budget, or it's like very wasteful, and I'm kind of anti-waste, which is why these are all recycled prints that I then try to make beautiful. So I wanted to show you how I actually do this. So here's kind of like my little test here. So on this side is the pencil, and on this side is the marker. And I will do it again, so that way, like, you can see what I'm doing. Let's kind of fix that. So the colors I'm going to use are basically the same thing, so you can see, which I have. Rhodamine Red is one of them. Rhodamine Dark, basically, is one of them. And the thing that's really special about these is they have a brush tip on them. So you can get them with brush tips or chisel tips. I've found that chisel tips don't really work on three-dimensional objects. So you can see the kind of there. See, it's like a little paintbrush. So the color that I'm going to start with is Imperial Violet. That sounds so important, doesn't it? Okay. So here's my print that I made in Proto-Pasta Matte Fiber. It's a reject. It's not like perfect. So first I'll start with my dark. I always start dark. Some people start light. And I'm just going to kind of paint down the part that I'm going to do as my example. And make sure I get the little edges around there. Yeah, something like that. And then my next color is going to be that Rhodamine Dark. So, and another thing that the markers do is they bleed. So you can kind of, depending if you can actually tell or not, but it's bleeding into the print. So when I noticed that it was doing that, the thing that I did differently was I basically just judged where it was going to bleed out to, and then just gave myself almost like a little margin. Of course, this is only with the markers, right? Because the pencils don't do that. So you can kind of tell that it's blended in there, right? Something that I did with the egg, so on the egg after it had kind of washed out, I came back in with a black on in between. So like I'll kind of do that here too, or throw it on the floor. Yeah, gotta throw it on the floor. That's how you know it works, right? So I'll do the black now, and I'm just gonna kind of make a real light kind of edge, which I can't see in this weird angle. I don't know how people do this normally. It's just so weird. Okay, so you can kind of see how like I made that pop a little bit better, right? Of course, like you'd want to do a little bit more with the edge. And the nice thing about these kind of markers and the pencils is you can go back in and kind of add a little bit more ink to try to blend that back a little more subtle. And I think maybe, I don't know, that doesn't look too bad. It's not my greatest work here. This is totally amateur stuff here. So yeah, and it looks like I'm going to come back with the lighter one again. Another thing that some people use they're called blending markers, which blending markers will keep you from dirtying your lighter pigmented markers. Kind of like how I've gotten the tip all dirty on this, which I mean, I can just go back and like even just clean it off this way too if I wanted. I'm just randomly marking on a box. Isn't this great? Okay, so that's markers. Now I'm going to show you pencils. So my 3 pencils are kind of close in pigment. Of course, violet is one of them, and then we got processed red for the other one, and then just your regular old pink. So first things first, you start with the dark purple on the side, and since it's a wax and it doesn't really soak in, any of the pigment that got broken off will just be like a powder that you'll want to like blow off later. So the thing that's different between the markers and the pencils is that I can't really get to the edge unless I sharpen my marker, which if I sharpened my marker every single time, or not marker, my pencil, if I sharpened my pencil every time, I would be losing a lot of medium, and that's kind of a waste. So what I'll do instead is I'll go back with a marker on that later. So I'll do this. And you can tell there's kind of like a little bit of a hole gap thing. Sorry, my glasses keep running into the mic. This is a super, super tight situation. Oh my god. I only got 90 square feet of space, goddamn. Yeah. Well, anyways. So, yeah, you can see, I mean, you can get basically the same effect. Which now that I'm looking down here, I didn't really do too much of the pink. So, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool, right? To add a little bit of color. And of course, if you wanted to clean this up and make that edge a little bit more crisper, you could use the black. Right? Just come back with the black. If you were just like trying to fill in the edge, you know, because you can get the brush down in there better. Yeah, that's good. So, and then of course, like I said, it gives you a little bit more contrast and makes that thing pop. Gotta make it pop. And then you get this and kind of brush the... Oh, I'm so sorry, my glasses keep running into the thing. Yeah, see? I think that's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. So that's on white, matte fiber white, right? So, which potentially you can do a lot with that. So I have actually a matte fiber black, right? This guy's a little bit less of a reject, except for the printer was being retarded and had an issue. Yeah, that's why this guy's sitting on the shelf still. So with this one, I'm going to show you on black. So I have ultramarine is one color that I'm going to use as the dark. And I'm going to do a similar thing here where I'm coloring one side, right? And see, isn't that so cool? I mean, you can already see the pigment. Oh man, that's just so cool. I'm blown away. So I got my blue on the edge there. That was my ultramarine. And then I'm going to come back with the aquamarine, because you can't have ultramarine without aquamarine. And kind of work that in there. And I don't know, I've always done a circular motion when I blend stuff. I guess it's one of those weird wax on, wax off things or something. Right, so that's the aquamarine, which you can't, I mean, I got it so close that you can't really tell that they're 2 different colors. So that's good. And then, oh, the next thing I'm coming in with is this chartreuse. I probably butchered that, but whatevs. And then go down here. Now this is so cool how bright this is on here. And you know, if I seal it with a sealer, like that's on there forever. I mean, unless like it gets melted or whatever. Because, you know, it's only plastic. It's plastic made out of plants. So, I mean, that's cool, right? Oh, man, this is so exciting. I'm really excited about this. So, yeah, I think if you could, like, literally go through and, yeah, see, I don't even have anything on my fingers because it's not paint. It ain't wet. I think that's cool. So, yeah, this is neat. A little thing about the coating though. So on this, I did 1 coat of this, and I strongly recommend that you wear a mask. Like seriously, wear one of these. It's a huge thing. I have asthma, so I have to wear it. Even if you don't have asthma, you probably should wear it. So. You can also use your painting sealer. So if you have like your acrylic painting and it's like that normal non-yellowing type stuff, you could also go for a matte finish kind of coating, which would be cool too. So yeah, and like I said, you can get these in our Etsy store, like our dragon eggs and our duck boxes. You can get them in this matte fiber material. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this and thank you for watching.